Probably one of the most discussed passages in all of Scripture is that first reading. And it's discussed because the question that Moses asked. But before I get to that, I want to do a little bit of talking about Moses. We know 3 or 4 things about him. One, the story of his birth and how he was saved from being killed. And he was raised in royalty. And I think that's very important to realize that he was not raised in a slave environment with a slave culture. And I think this gives an insight into his personality, because we know 3 other things right away about him. He keeps intervening in conflicts. The first conflict was a conflict between a Jew and the overseer, an Egyptian. And there his anger boiled over and he killed the Egyptian. The next time he intervenes is between 2 Jews. And one of the Jews says, "Are you going to kill me as you killed the other?" And now he realizes what a dangerous thing that he has done. The third you don't know much about, you haven't heard. As he is running away and he's finally found a place to live, he intervenes when he sees these shepherds abusing the daughter of one of the priests there. And he intervenes between 2 non-Jews. So it's interesting. It doesn't matter who they are. When he does not see justice being done, Moses intervenes. So he has about him an attitude of justice. Now, this is the man who's called to be a shepherd. And he's living out his life happily, leading these sheep until he sees the bush. Now, some people say, well, why is it a burning bush? Well, it could have been anything, I suppose. But one thing is, a burning bush would signify power over nature. And the peoples of that time worshiped nature. The sun, the moon, the stars, the river, whatever it might be, they worshiped nature. So the bush being on fire and not being consumed shows a power over nature, which is beyond anything else their gods could do. Secondly, and probably most simply, is God is present in the most humble of places, even in bushes. God will be there. Now, as he draws closer, the voice of God says, "Stop, take off your sandals, for this is a holy place." Now, we can take off our sandals or our shoes without any problem, but stand in the desert sand and you get a little bit of a problem, So there's some really important reason why he's going to take off his sandals to stand there in the hot sand. It's interesting that he does not complain about this. He does it right away. And you'll notice that of the 3 major religions that spring from Abraham and Isaac and Jacob and Moses, it's only the Muslims who take off their shoes when they pray. The Jews and the Christians do not. But the Muslims honor that scene, and that's why they take off their shoes when they pray. Now, he's meeting God. And God introduces himself. And we oftentimes, and this is a key, I think, to the whole thing. I am the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Okay? This is what I want you to do. Now he's saying, I'm also your God, because here I am with you now. But I'm also the God of the Jews who are in captivity. I've heard their cry. I am going to act in their behalf. And this is what I want you to do. So Moses says, when I talk to the Pharaoh, what am I going to say your name is? When I talk to the people, why would they believe me? What is your name? Now, some people think he was trying, because in that day and age, if you knew someone's name, you had a sort of power over that person. So they think that this is what Moses was about, trying to gain some power over God. But if you follow his story to the very end, he never once mentions God's name again. God gave him his name, and Moses accepted his name but never used it again, because I think he understood that name was his name, unique to Moses, as God was unique to Abraham and to Isaac and to Jacob. He is unique to Moses and will be unique to the people of Israel and is unique now to each one of us. See, God said, the voice came out and God said, I am who am, or I am who, I am one who shall be, will shall be. You get all these different translations. The translations that philosophers and theologians, get all excited about don't make any difference. What really makes a difference is what he's saying. I shall be for you what you need. I shall be for you what you need. You can tell my presence by what I do for you. There's an intimate individual relationship between each one of us. He lives Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Now Moses is into this. Now he's trying to tell us forever and ever, I will be active in your life in the way you uniquely need me. This is why, I commented the other day about how seldom we tell our story, our faith journey, because it really only makes sense to us. Because it is a unique experience of God dealing with me. And when I articulate it, when I give it away, I recognize that a lot of people won't understand that. And most people won't understand certainly all of it, but they might recognize a piece of it. Because there's a similarity between what happened to them, what happened to you. So I think it's important to tell our story so others who have their own unique experience of God can maybe connect a little. But this is why I think there's poetry. This is why I think people write songs. They're trying to find a way to express who that God is in them. And it's impossible for me to understand your God, and impossible for you to understand mine. But both of us have a responsibility to talk about the experience, how God is with me. And again, as I talked about last week, that really comes through prayer. You won't recognize God sometimes because you are too busy, because you're flying through life. You've got to find a few moments every day to quiet and talk to God. Talk to him as a friend. Talk to him as a father, a mother, a brother, a sister, whatever you want. Talk to him. Talk to God. And find out what he's doing for you, how he's shaping and forming you. It's not the word essay in Latin. It's not Thomistic philosophy that gives us essence and transubstantiation and consubstantiation. None of that. What this is about is God encountering each of us uniquely. I can't finish, though, without making some observation about the gospel. First of all, there are a lot of people, even today, who believe that when bad things happen, it's God's punishment. I don't know how we break ourselves with that kind of thinking. Why is God mad at me? God isn't mad at you. Why was it, my sister died in a car accident a month ago? Was he mad at her? Had she done something wrong? No. This is reality that we have to be able to face with God. It's not a punishment. It's part of that reality. And how does God come to me at that point? Uniquely and specially. But he came to me as he came to my family and to her friends. This is how God meets us in our lives. The last part of the story is very important too. The story of that fig tree. The master comes and says, this is a useless fig tree. It hasn't done anything. And the gardener, whose name is Jesus, keeps saying, no, give me some more time. Give me some more time. And God is always trying to cultivate us, to pull us forward. He's always trying to make the connection. But we can stand like this, and he will not overwhelm us. He will not destroy our no. We can say no. And the warning today is, now is the time to stop. Now is the time to pull down your guard to give up your no and to ask in prayer how you can meet your God today.